Built by horse players for horse players, Wager is designed for speed, power, and ease of use. Wager brings CAW-style tools to everyday horse players, including Dutching, ABC Ticket Maker, and Pro Percent, an advanced betting tool that lets you assign weighted percentages and build multiple structured wagers with a single click. Every month, Wager turns the odds in your favor with 0% takeout on select tracks. These promos offer you up to $100 more for your winning bets and giving you value for your wagers not offered anywhere else. Rated 4.7 stars on Google with over 200 reviews, Wager is trusted by horse players who expect more from their wagering platform. If you're looking for better tools and better value, you need Wager. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit amwager.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 or older where applicable. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE.
Welcome to the Sport of Kings podcast, episode 365, sponsored by Amwager. Go to amwager.com to see all their promotions, including the upcoming 0% takeout on win bets on all races at Royal Ascot next Wednesday. So if you're interested in European racing and the unique Royal Ascot meet, you can make win bets at a 0% takeout rate on Wednesday. As always, I welcome your feedback on Twitter/X. My handle is @Derby1592. And this week, I am joined by special guest Paul Sherman, NHC Hall of Fame horse player, for a detailed discussion about key races, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile from Monmouth Park on Saturday. We'll focus on finding and exploiting value. We'll talk about our strongest handicapping opinions and how we might leverage those opinions using optimal betting and contest strategies. Hi, Paul. How's it going?
Hi, Chris. Good. How are you? Everything's good.
It's going well. I heard you're in the midst of a big move after, being a native New Yorker, or at least a long-time New Yorker. You're heading down south. Sounds exciting.
Heading down south to New Orleans. Yeah, I'm moving down south to New Orleans. My son and daughter live there, and just had a grandson. So my wife and I went down there just before the baby was born, and we love it. Surprisingly, we love it. Moving from a big house to an apartment, and it's great. I actually live about 3 blocks from Judy Wagner. So we've had a few meals together, and I have not yet been to Fairgrounds, but plan on going a lot eventually.
Yeah, I have a feeling you might go there a few times here in the near future.
Yeah. I've been there for Jazz Fest, but not for the racing.
Well, now you can go for both.
Right.
So you are one of the featured players in the chapters on contest play in my new book, Betting on Horses. That's available at Bet with the Best Media, all one word, betwiththebestmedia.com. So we're going to talk a lot about looking at these races from a contest perspective. That's why I brought you in. That's why I just chose these races. Monmouth has a very unique contest, the Pick Your Prize contest. The format and prize structure is really much different than any other contest out there. It's very popular. So maybe before we start talking about anything else, well, let's talk a little bit about your approach to contest strategy, and in particular, your approach to this contest. And I understand, which I did not know until today, that you and a few others were kind of involved with working with Monmouth to develop this contest format. So maybe tell us a little bit about that and how you approach this.
All right. About 10 years ago, Brian Skirka talked to me and Mitch Schumann who should be a Hall of Famer, 20-time qualifier, about contest format, and we sort of put together this format. And since then, Brian has actually improved it to a point where I think that this is probably the best tournament during the course of the year, with due respect to Keeneland and the California tournaments. This one with the prize structure and the betting format, I think is the best tournament to attend. If you're going to attend one tournament, this is the one.
So
basically,
let's talk about the prize
Go
structure.
ahead.
I'll let you talk about it, but just make sure you talk about how the prize structure is different and how it's so much flatter than other. And I'll maybe jump in if you leave out any details I wanted to highlight, but maybe talk a little bit why it's so different.
It's different because of the number of prizes it gives out. It usually gives out 26 or 27 NHC spots. It's not overly top heavy, although the top prizes are excellent. If you win, I'm not even sure the exact prize structure this year, but it's usually you get a choice of two BCBC, NHC, or cash. You automatically get cash if you're in the top five. You get additional cash if you finish at the top, plus you get a choice of BCBC and or NHC, depending on which ones you want. And then really it goes down another 25 or 26 places for NHC spots. And basically, if you double your bankroll, you're very much in the running, if not in the money, for an NHC spot. So a lot of people have, there are different strategies here. I know people who just are going to try for the NHC spot. So again, doubling your money or turning your $1,000 into $2,500 should probably get you there. So your $1,000 bankroll on a 3-2 shot should get you there. So some people play for that, but with the excellent top prizes, you have a choice of going for the NHC spot and or going for one of the top 5 spots. So you get to pick your prize.
Yeah, and so just to add a little more detail to that, typically there is about prizes awarded to like 30th place and below, and the top 4, there are 4 BCBC seats. The rest are all NHC seats or cash, and the winner gets to pick 2. So basically, they get to pick probably a BCBC seat, and an NHC seat, or some cash, and they get some
additional cash.
Yeah,
additional cash. It's already getting cash.
But it's really maybe 3 times what the 30th place person is going to get, 3 or 4 times. So there's not a big gap. And between first and second, the only difference is about $5,000. So it's much flatter price structure. But like you said, to get in that top 30, typically 2,500 is kind of borderline, but 2,500 to 3,500 in that range will get you that. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, but I think it's typically a little higher than 2,500. But like you said, you maybe not, between two and 3 times your starting bankroll, you're probably going to get at least an NHC seat. And then, but to get in that top 5, you probably need to get closer to like $10,000. I mean, it's a big. It's not easy to get in the top 5 in a 300-person contest. So you have to think about why you're in the contest, because unless you really want that BCBC seat, you're not much better off finishing 6th or 32nd. And so that ought to influence the way you approach the contest. In a contest where, to finish in the top 30, you probably only, like you said, hit a 2-to-1 shot and you're in probably if you go all in. So, given that,
I'll tell you one quick story.
Sure.
A few years ago, I was sitting in the money for an NHC spot, and so with one race left, I had a choice of, well, what do I do? Do I go for the top prize, or do I try to solidify or just hold my own and keep my? Well, I can't remember whether it was my first or second NHC spot, and I decided, well, you know what? I'm in the money. For me to try to get one of the top prizes, I'll have to sacrifice some of my bankroll, which might take me out of the NHC spot. So for that contest, I decided, well, I'll play conservatively, and I kept the NHC spot. If I had played the horse I liked, I would have come in second place. So you got a lot of decisions to make at the end of the tournament, depending on where you are.
But that's why it's really good to decide ahead of time what's your goal, right? So that you have the right strategy to get there. And when you have to make those decisions at the end, you don't have to make them. You've already made them, right? So,
usually, but you can change your mind.
Yeah, but it's better. You probably make a better decision ahead of time than in the heat of the moment. I mean, there's a lot of research that will support that. So that's what I'm just saying. It's good to plan ahead. So I know you already have at least one NHC seat, right? Because I remember you won it at Vegas this year, right? Didn't you win one in the?
I did not. No, last year I won at Vegas. Now I should have enough tour points now at this point to get my seat. So I'm not too worried about getting a seat. So at least at the beginning, I will be going for the top prize.
You're going to be aggressive, much more so than, say, if you're somebody who doesn't play in many contests, they really want to go to the NHC. This is like they think one of their best chances. They're probably going to play differently than you will. And there's nothing wrong with that. What you're doing is just, you need to decide that ahead of time. So. So in the context of the way you're looking at these races, you're looking for ways to make some scores that would move you up to the top of the leaderboard, not just get you into that top 30.
Right.
And that's just really important.
The year.
Go ahead.
The year that I won this back, it's a long time ago now, 2017. I had $450 going to the last race. I really liked the horse in the last race. And I could have played it in a way to get me into the top 25 or to get the NHC spot. But I wanted to go for the top, and I played the horse I liked on top of the three longer shots on the board, even though I had no reason to bet them. But at that point in time, it became a math problem instead of a handicapping problem. And my horse won with the longest shot on the board, and I won the tournament. So I could have gone either way there. At that point, I'm sure I probably had two NHC spots at that point, so I was going for the prize, and it paid off.
But what's good about that is you decided what your goal was. You stuck to your plan.
Yes.
You got to the end game, which tends to be tactical in contests. And this is, if you want to be successful in contests, you have to accept that sometimes your handicapping opinion doesn't drive your last play or two because the math does. And you don't want to go against the math. That doesn't make sense, even though in this case, you probably would not normally make that bet on a normal day at the races.
Yes.
But you knew exactly what you wanted. You had that goal. And the only way to get there was to, based on the math, to take a shot with some longer priced horses underneath it. And it worked out. If it hadn't, wouldn't have meant it was a bad decision. Based on the context of what your goals were and where you were in the contest at that point in time, that was the right play. And, that's just how you have to approach it. And that's what makes contests more interesting, right?
And that's most likely with most live money tournaments. It comes down to math. It comes down to where do you want to go, and also protecting what you have. So how much do you want to risk to get to where you want to go, and not risk too much, especially in tournaments where, say the Belmont tournament last week, the people, I didn't do well, but the people at the top were betting in a way where they gave themselves a chance to win, but didn't sacrifice the position they were in.
Yeah, and that becomes more important. As you move up the leaderboard, and what your goals were. So if you want to get an NHC seat and, you have a chance maybe to win the contest if you go all in on something and your goal was to win the NHC seat, you probably don't want to go all in that case, even if you think you have a chance to win. Now, if your goal was to win it all and you didn't really care about the NHC seat, then maybe not. But like you said, sometimes there's a middle ground where you can say, you know what, I can bet $500 here, and I'll still pretty much have an NHC seat locked up, and I
and
still
not
have a
lose
chance to win
my
it, right? Right, and
Correct.
that might
Correct.
be the way you try to thread the needle there, I think is what you're saying. But it all depends on where you are on that board, right? If you're right on the cut line, you got to be really careful. But if you're well above the cut line, and it really doesn't hurt you to drop down a little bit, and you have a shot to win it, why not take it, right?
Right, but there's no difference between in this tournament probably, 8th place and 26th place. You're still getting your NHC spot.
All right. So one last thing before we get into the races, I do like to talk about the betting menu at the track. Monmouth has recently made some changes, positive changes to their takeout. They've lowered takeout to 15% on all their doubles. Pick 3, pick 4, pick 5. So basically all the horizontal bets are now 15% takeout, which is pretty good. But the better thing is they've added a $5 minimum late double and a $3 minimum late pick 3. And those higher minimums combined with the lower takeout, they tend to discourage the CAW involvement as much as normal because the CAW's, the lower takeout, they're not as interested. They don't get this big a rebate. The higher minimums, they can't bet as precisely as they like. So you often can get better payouts if you find some value in, say, that late pick 3 or late double than you would have if it had been the lower minimums and a higher takeout. So that's probably the best bet that they have on their menu. Unfortunately, Monmouth still allows CAW teams unfettered access to all their pools. And that makes it really tough. So you probably should stick to those horizontal bets, probably to the simplest ones with the high minimums, or maybe win bets and exactas, because once you get into the tries and supers and pick 4s and pick 5s, that's where the teams will kind of crush the typical player because of the advantages they have. And that's why I really encourage players, especially when Saratoga starts up and you got the best race in the country and you've got the track that actually is trying to manage CAW access to the pools. That's where you should be shifting your handle. That's where you have a better chance to win. It's in your own best interest. Not to have those teams throttled down gives you a fighting chance that you don't have in the other pools. And you don't get T.O. Elvis with all these late odds changes and stuff. So it helps you if you shift your handle to NYRA. And it also, if we all do that, it'll send a message to the industry that we're going to, actively support the tracks that try to throttle the CAWs. So I really encourage players to do it. I know it's hard sometimes to change, but if you don't, you can't complain because you're going to get exactly what you asked for, and that is you're going to get crushed long term by the teams if you play into those pools and at those tracks. And if you don't change your behavior, then why would the tracks ever change what they're doing? And so the game's going to continue to deteriorate, at least the way it has been. Let
me just tell you, I like the bet, I like the idea, I like the concept. My personal pet peeve is that if I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do in the last 2 races of a contest, and I'm looking at the double odds, I got to do extra math now. Because everything's based on $5 instead of $1 or $2 bets. And now I got to do more math. Wait a minute, this pays $2.30 for $5. Oh no, it's only $60 for $5. Oh yeah, okay, for $1.
Yeah,
right.
The track should have a standard way of presenting the payouts.
Right.
So that's a different problem. That's an easy one to solve.
It's more math for me, which is annoying.
But you're going to get a better payout,
that's
which
$5
is good.
payoff.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
but and also a great way to play the game and today, to help try to avoid the CAW teams is contests. That's one of the great things about a contest. You're playing against other players. You're all playing under the same set of rules. You don't have to take on those big teams that have all those unfair advantages over you. That's a great thing about contests. It's another way to shift your play away from the teams. So, play at NYRA, play in contests. That's a great way to go, and, I get it on like on Haskell Day or on this card here at Monmouth where they have, a better card than normal. If you want to play it, great. But in general, you want to start moving your handle to where you have a fighting chance to win. And that would be Naira, or at some of the other tracks, they have a few player-friendly wagers. And like at Monmouth, this late double and late pick 3. But in general, we need to start changing our behavior as players. And I talk about this a lot in my book, Betting on Horses. You can get at betwiththebestmedia.com. And I have sections on contest play, and Paul's one of the featured players in those chapters. But I also spent a lot of time talking about the teams and how you can optimize your play in the age of the CAWs. So I encourage you to go to betwiththebestmedia.com, get the book Betting on Horses. I think it'll help you as a player. There's a lot more beyond that, all kinds of stuff about being a better horse player from a lot of wise people like Paul and others, not just me. I'm more of a facilitator than I was but I was the author, and I did add some of my own opinions. So anyway, that'll be the end of the CAW rant and the book plug. And so let's get started on these races. I'm not going to cover every race on the card, but I'm going to at least talk about the stakes races and the last 2 races, which are always kind of the most important in the contest. But if there's others, Paul, that you want to mention, but before we get started, just having looked through the card and knowing that you're trying to win the contest, what are you thinking about the card in general, and where are you going to pick your spots and try to make your moves?
Okay, well, I'm going to go through every race.
All right. Okay, let's do that. Let's do it.
And then, well, very, very, very quickly, because the strategy, if I like something early, first of all, I want to have $250 for the last race. That's what I want to have. No matter what I'm doing, I'm going to have money left for the last race. Because for $250, if bet properly, you could usually win a contest with a proper bet, possibly win a contest with a proper bet with $250. With exactas, there's no trifectas here, but there's a way for you to get in the money or win a tournament with just $250 in your bankroll. So I will definitely have, on my 2 entries, I'll have money left on both bankrolls.
Well, especially if your goal, not for you, but if you're in this just to get an NHC seat, you could definitely make, that $2,500 we talked about, or $3,000 with, one $250 bet, right? And the minimum bets, just real quick, The format, $150 minimum. You have to bet at least 5 races at $150. You have $1,000 bankroll. You have to play at least the whole full 1,000, and it's all the races on the Monmouth card 1 through 10. So you got to bet at least 5 of those at 150, and you're saying you're going to hold back 250 for that last race. So that means you got to bet at least 150 in 4 other races before that last race.
The minimum is not 150, but you have to have 5 bets of 150. You can bet less than that as long as you bet 150.
Right. The minimum to get counted as right. You're right. You could bet $2 if you want. It won't count towards your 5 race minimum, but yeah, you're right.
Correct.
Okay. So given that, let's start. You quickly you kind of triage the races, and there's going to. I'm going to
run through quickly.
All right.
And here's again my problem, my personal problem, that I tend to downplay Paco Lopez at Monmouth because I always feel he's going to be overbet because I love him at Monmouth, and then he ends up beating me. So right now, here's your favorites in all the races. First race, Paco Lopez. Second race, Lopez. Third race, Lopez. Fourth race, there's Pratt. Fifth race, Pratt.
Well, Pratt and Brown. Pratt and Brown in a stakes race on the turf.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 7th race, Lopez. 8th race, Lopez. 9th race, Pratt. So you have 2 jockeys. The Monmouth expert and probably, in my opinion, the best jockey around now in Pratt on these races. So how am I going to make my bets so that I can have big collections? one of the things I try to do in a tournament like this is find ways to keep my bankroll. And my brother and I, we try to pass through races when we can. So if there's a 5 or 6 horse field with a 2 to 5 shot, 150 bet to show, hopefully we'll pass through. That gives you an extra 150 to play during the course of the tournament. Of course, there's you learn quickly there's no such thing as a short pass through, and I really couldn't find too much. Yeah, 3 pass throughs, you're going to lose one of them usually. But here, the first race, Lopez on the 6 to 5 looks very good, but I see 4 other horses who have a real shot. So maybe a pass through on the 3, depending on how it's best. No, not real confidence in that. Second race is very wide open to me.
Just a second though. So you said 3 or 4 might be able to beat the odds-on favorite. There's none of those you'd be willing to play. There, you didn't like nothing that you liked enough where you might want to make a contest play.
No, because I think the 3 will probably win. Hold on, let me just pull them up here again. You got too many windows open here, Chris. Hold on.
Yeah, it's just to let people know, it's a lower price claimer on the turf going a mile. The first race at Monmouth. That's the one Paul's talking about.
Right. Hold on 1 second. I just lost my whole thing here.
That's all right. And he mentioned that fiddle light.
Right.
I can't even.
Right.
That's some name I can't even pronounce.
Fiddle light. You can't hear right. Something like that.
Yeah.
So here's the fastest horse in the race. Best horse in the race. Coming off the 4-month layoff. Off a win and dropping down off that win. Should win. Why is he dropping down off the win? Why was it 4 months off? I don't know. The 2 I give a shot. The 4 I give a shot, but the 4 is off a 6-month layoff.
That 4 horses, Leo Monte. Yeah, I'm just trying to help So 8 is
I'm sorry, I'm going numbers. Right, the 8 horse, Ohana Empire. Right, again, winning numbers. If it goes back to numbers, but off 6 months. Why? The 9 I had as the only horse that wants to lead in the race, but is going to get the lead from the 9 post, so get close to the lead. The 3 should win. Am I confident? Will I possibly play that on one of my answers to pass through? Maybe, but I'm not much confidence in
that.
Right,
so that race you may just completely skip altogether, which is okay. You got 10 races. You don't have to play them all, right?
I might. Let me see scratches and but 3 is definitely a possibility. But why is he dropping down off the layoff, off the win? I don't know. No confidence.
But that would only be
if I don't find anything later on. Go ahead.
But that would only be as a possibility as a show bet, right? Just to get a minimum out of the way.
That would be a show bet, correct.
Okay.
Correct. Get out of the way.
All right, so let's go on to second race then.
Second race I thought was too wide open. 7, probably the speed, a lot of speed. I just didn't like. They all look the same to me. So this was just with no look in there either.
All right, yeah, that was
not playing that race.
Claimer. All right, the third race is another 6 furlong allowance optional claimer on the dirt. Anything in this one?
I like the 4 a bit. I like nothing here. I mean, the 4 and the 1 look good.
They're the 2 favorites. The 4, she's a gamer. She's 2 to 1. And the one's
correct.
Cadena, 9 to 5.
They both look good. Correct.
But not good enough for you to bet. Or play the show?
No. And this is just this is my head, right? This is the way I hold on 1 second. It's going through this. Yeah, don't love it. Probably won't play the race.
All right, so we've gone through the first 3. You haven't really found anything. You still have 7 races left. So now we go to the 4th, 5th, and 6th. They're all stakes races. with relatively small fields, but they're better quality horses. So in the fourth race, it's a stakes race on the turf, going 8.5 furlongs for older fillies and mares.
Right.
You find something in here?
7 looks the best to me, but he's going to be the favorite.
That's the Pratt, Chad
again,
Brown
and Pratt. There you go.
Risky Decision, the favorite. Probably be close to odds on. Although there is a second choice, the one horse, Give Me Another, who will also take a lot of money coming off a win. It's coming off a layoff, but it's Graham Motion trained, classy, consistent horse. So is this a race you're making a show bet maybe on the 7, or are you still in pass?
No, I think what I would do here is play the 7 in doubles with 2 or 3 horses in the 5th race, and I have to see the odds on that.
And so this is
I would try.
So and the doubles, you would pay at least $150 probably then, right? So you get meet the minimum requirement. Okay. Right,
$350 doubles. Again, that would depend. That's a math play. Although I did have a possible pass through in that race, so I have to see the odds and see. I had the 4 as a. So
we're talking about the 5th race now.
The 5th race, the 4 looks
so
to me.
The race that you're talking about playing doubles from. I got to slow down a little bit so the listeners know what you're talking about. So you're going a little too quick.
Right.
The 7 Whiskey Decisions in the 4th race. You're thinking that horse looks pretty strong, not as a win bet, but maybe you can play it in doubles. So you have to play $150 in some of these races. This would be one of those. You might not play them all at 50. You might Dutch it depending on what you're getting on prices in the next race. But you're looking at 3 horses in the next race, which is another stakes race on the dirt. This is a 3-year-old. It's sort of the prep for the Haskell, the local prep. So what are the 3 horses you're looking at in race 5 that you might hook up in the doubles?
That will depend on the odds. That will depend on the odds.
All right. So you don't have any strong handicapping opinions? You're just looking for prices that you think that are contenders?
The 4. Well, I think the 4 probably looks pretty good too. So I could also do possibly $150 double with the 4.
Just 7 Whiskey Decision with 4 Schoolyard Superman.
Right.
Those are both trained by Chad Brown, ridden by Flavian Pratt, and probably odds-on favorites. So what do you think you'd get for that double? Because I'm guessing it won't be much.
So
that could be like a $6 double.
7 to 1.
I'm thinking
I don't
less.
think so. I think.
And remember, it's a 6-horse field and an 8-horse field.
I know.
They're both the same trainer and jockey.
Yeah.
They're both odds on. It might be $6. Yeah.
I mean, it might be. It might be. The two looks interesting. The 4, you have the 4 coming off a new top after adding LASIK, so that's my big angle there. Also looks the fastest. I mean, the 1 could give it a shot. The 2 could be in there. The 5 could give it a ride. So the others are pretty equal. The 5 throwing Ponder and Dream throwing a big number at Parks last out, first time going long. So I'll look at the odds and I'll see if it's playable.
So you're looking at, so if it turns out they're hammering the 7-4, you may just I'll play the ones they're not hammering in here. Your main opinion is you think Whiskey Decision's pretty strong, and there's multiple contenders in this race. If you get enough on the 4, you might just go with the 1 double. But if he's getting hit too hard, then you can move on to your alternates in that race, depending on what they're paying. So you're going to stay flexible.
Correct. What I could also do is don't play Schoolyard Superman in the doubles, play two of the horse doubles, and then go forward in doubles with Schoolyard Superman.
So you're kind of playing both sides of the coin there. You're playing against him.
Correct.
And the doubles in.
Hit that.
And you're playing. And then if he wins.
And then alive going forward, right.
All right. So you're kind of like hedging a little bit. Are you playing more than one entry or just
I'm
one
playing
entry?
2 entries.
So if you have two entries, would you do that on separate entries? One, or would you do it on the?
Yes.
So you'd have like one, which is if Schoolyard Superman wins, that'll be good for you. And if the other one, if you beat him, that's good. So you got it on 2 different entries.
Correct.
Yeah, just one thing I'd note on Schoolyard Superman, you mentioned the Lasix thing. That big race last time out was with Lasix, and now Lasix comes off for this race. So that would seem to be.
I don't have that on mine.
Yeah, that would, because this is a graded stakes. So so they're not, none of them have Lasix for this race. So that would be a negative on him, I would think.
Correct.
So maybe you might be more inclined.
But he'll still be back.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, for whether you'd want to key on him or not, that might influence that.
Right.
All right. So that's kind of interesting. So you're really thinking about, you're pretty flexible. You're trying just to optimize your chances of winning, and you may play both sides of the coin if you have 2 entries in a situation like this.
Right.
One on one entry and one on the other. And then. You're kind of making a sacrifice, but hopefully you're in a good position going forward either way.
Right. Correct.
All right. So let's move on now. So you may be thinking doubles into this race, or maybe playing the race. It's on its own, but it's a third in a series of stakes races. This one's going 9 furlongs on the turf, and not shockingly, the odds-on favorite will be another Chad Brown-trained, Flavian Pratt-ridden horse, the 4 Program Trading. What are you thinking in this race?
I actually like a little bit of a price. I like Blouny. That's the number 6.
That's a 6 horse, yeah, Blouny, and that's 20 to 1 on the morning line. 20 to 1 on the morning line.
Well, on the morning line. So I have that somehow in there, either in doubles or a win bet, or maybe back up an exacta. I like his numbers. Numbers are competitive, although certainly not in the class races that these have been running in. But his back numbers are very competitive here. He's raced well at Keeneland. He's raced well at Saratoga. So I think at a price, hold on, he's worth throwing in there somewhere. Hold on 1 second.
A horse that used to be trained by Chad Brown, now it's Jorge Abreu.
Right.
So
he will be. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say he didn't run very well at Gulfstream or in Florida, but he ran much better when they got him back in up north. So just something to keep in mind. His form in New York and New Jersey is better than it is, than it was down south. So
correct. Correct. So I mean, the 4 looks best, looks classiest, looks fastest. Pratt and Brown. The other one, which is worth a look, is the other Brown, the one coming from England.
Yeah, the 8 horse Neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there is Gaffleon on, so you're not losing that much. With regard to the thoroughgrass, which I depend on a lot, the numbers in England are a little higher than the ones running, the numbers of the horses he's running against. But I find that the English numbers, the European numbers, come back high. So for thoroughgrass, I take a few points off those European numbers when I'm handicapping. And
so just to make sure the listeners know, on the sheets, lower numbers are better. So when you say you take a few points off, you're saying you think they're faster than their numbers would indicate. Right?
Correct. Right. Although this one seems to be, like the artificial, but he's got good numbers too on the turf.
They were going typically longer though, so that's one thing to keep in mind. This horse was going 1.25 miles on the synth.
Right.
So maybe this is more of a prep for longer, but off the layoff. But it is Chad Brown, and it's the other Chad, so you always have to respect that, right?
Right. Anything else? Again, 7 was okay. Hold on 1 second. 7 was all right. Blinkers on.
It's Naptown. That's
Naptown. I'm sorry. Right. Running competitive numbers at Aqueduct. Decent numbers at Laurel.
Real consistent horse. So.
Right.
Interestingly, they're putting the blinkers on in here. So.
Right. They just added LASIX and now they're putting blinkers on. Right.
So how would you play this? You sounds like you think programs.
I hate to tell you. I hate to say I don't know, but it depends on the odds. Depends on what's being played. Yeah, I could play if I like a horse in the next race, in the 7th race. I could play 3 horses in this race in doubles with a horse I like in the next race. So
are you willing to? So
it depends what.
So let's just say program trading's even money or 4 to 5, which you will be, and you're going to get at least the morning line price on the other horses you like in here. So how would you be playing this in the contest?
I might play 3 of them. I like the 7 in the next race. I like doing this, right?
All right. So the next race is a dirt allowance claiming.
Am I going too fast? I apologize.
No. It's just I want to make sure we at least talk about what races and the horses.
Right.
I just want to make sure people know what you're talking about when you're going. So
right.
And the next race is all right. Go quickly, but the next race is race 7, and you're saying in that race there's a horse to 7 doing this who's 5 to 1 in the morning line. You like him, and you're thinking, well, if they're heavily playing program trading, even though he's the most likely winner, you think there's some other horses with a chance, and you may play a few of those, like the 6 horse Baloney, the 7 horse Naptown.
Right.
And with the 7 horse doing this in the next race, doing the doubles.
Right. I might also play program trading. I could bet more than 152. I could bet how my pass-throughs went, or depending on, and plus I have another 250 to play with, other than the 5 150 bets. So I could put $200 double with program trading in this horse if it pays enough.
So you're talking about program trading the 4 with the 7 doing this. Maybe that's a way, even at 5 to 1 in a pretty big field. Let's see, there's 10 horses. You might be able to get a decent double price. So is that kind of the way you're looking at it, at least from a tactical standpoint? You're not going to go all in on something. You're looking more at 3 or 4 bets. You're just trying to build your bankroll for that last race. Is that kind of how you're approaching this? You're not trying to win it.
I'm looking to hold on. I'm looking to, I will make a bet on surrounding doing this, a 7 in the next race. I do like that. I'm not going to go $1,000 on it, no. But
you might play more than 150.
Plus, I could also play doing this, depending on what the payout's going to be, with exactas in that race, on top of exactas.
All right, so let's talk about that race then. So this is race 7. You have the 7 horse doing this. He's 5 to 1. This is the first horse that you kind of like, I think, as a likely winner that's not going to be odds on, trained by Chad Brown, ridden by Flavian Pratt. So you're actually going to get a price in here. So this is a race where maybe you can make a score. What else? How are you thinking you play it within the race then?
Well, again, I will most likely be alive in doubles with it. And And then depending on what came in the first leg and what it pays, see what the payout's going to be. And if I want to increase that, either put more money to win on it or put it on top of other horses in exactas. And that would prevent it. And if that collect twice, I would collect on the double and hopefully the exacta too, or the win bet. I could add a win bet or I could add an exacta.
So I would think if you've got live doubles, the adding as a win bet doesn't sound that enticing because you're probably already making a pretty good score. What would you do on the exactas?
Right.
So
depending on what it's paying, depending on the leaderboard also.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily have to pay $150 on that. On the exactas, I could add $50 exacta with one or two horses. I could, if I'm alive to that horse, that I can fiddle with that with either win bet or exactas.
So are there any horses in particular that you'd be interested in the exactas in that race with the seventh race with the 7-horse doing this?
I like the 10 a little bit, let me say.
The 10 is Happy Offering. That's the favorite, the 2-1 favorite.
Right. That's the favorite. So perhaps 7 over the 10 might pay something. And then again, I'd have to see the odds, I'd have to see what everything's paying.
But the key is the 7. The 7 seems like to this point in the contest, that's your key horse. This is the one you're hoping to hit, right? That's
my key horse. Second off a layoff, stretching out, going from 3 to 4, stretching out, and his numbers last year, stretching out and going shorter, going are pretty much the same, but I expect improvement from this horse. Second off a layoff, going from 3 to 4 years old.
Yeah, and that's for the listeners. This is the golden pattern we talk about a lot. Second off the layoff. It's not as strong as going from 2 to 3, but you would expect in this case, what do we got here? A 4-year-old gelding to have developed some from 3 to 4 over about a year's time. So
almost a year, right?
Probably got some fitness out of his last race. Was kind of what you were hoping to see. It was pretty good. And so now second off the layoff with that tightener, you'd kind of expect a career best effort. That's kind of what you're counting on in here. And that career best effort, given the rest of the field, is probably good enough to at least be there at the end, maybe win it, right?
Hopefully, right.
And we talk about that a lot. That pattern is a pretty good positive ROI pattern. It doesn't always come in. Sometimes they don't always fire, and sometimes they do, but there's better horses in the race. But usually it's a better chance you're going to get kind of a lifetime best effort out of that pattern than any other pattern. That's why I call it the golden pattern. So you're kind of build so far, the early part of the day anyway, is hoping that doing this does that, right? Right. So
it's getting pretty late. Actually, it's getting pretty late. It's not that early.
That's true. That's true. But the real, like they say, we're turning for home now, and this last 3 is where the rubber really hits the road. Hopefully, you built some bankroll with doing this. So, and maybe are you thinking of maybe playing doubles into the 8th race with him as well?
Into the well, again, it depends. The 8th race looks to me like the favorite.
Yeah, I think this favorite is probably the most likely winner on the card, right? The 5 enjoying.
Yeah. So right.
So this could be a pass-through race. You could play a show bet on this horse.
Proven at the distance, dropping in class. It just looks.
Ridden by Paco, trained by Graham Motion.
Paco.
He's much the fastest. Now it is a maiden claimer, so there's these horses. A lot of them have upside, but at least you figure this horse is probably going to be right there at the end. Maybe somebody jumps way up and beats him, but as a show bet, this seems like one of the safer show bets, especially given the 10 horse. Yeah. given the 10-horse field, you might actually get more than the minimum amount back too. Not that it matters that much. You're just trying to get through the race.
I mean, he's only raced 3 times, but looks, even his worst race looks best here. Dropping down. So I don't have much to say about this race other than that.
All right, so that's kind of a pass
maybe
race.
If I need a pass through, maybe if I need a pass through, maybe I'll at that point I'll use that.
So that gets us to the second to last race. Yeah, the 9th, right? This is the last stakes race. This is the I can't remember what this race is called, but anyway, it's the 9th race. Let's see, it's the wait, no, that's not right. Yeah, the Salvatore Mile. That's what we're on. This is the kind of the feature race of the day. And the favorite's the 6 Bishop's Bay, Flavian Pratt, Brad Cox. Well, I think it won the race last year. What are you thinking on this race?
I sort of like the 4, Grandmo the First. Sort of similar to what we talked about the second of Falaf, going 3 to 4, and the improvement due to the age of the horse. This one races a 3-year-old, raced well, then had one race as a 4-year-old, and then disappears. Then throws a nice number at Gulfstream, wins as a 5-year-old. So my sort of angle would be, he's really going from 3 to 5, and he's second off a layoff. So that's improvement off that would make him competitive with this field. With Paco, by the way.
Yeah, unfortunately. This is kind of one where you wish that Paco didn't get on, because this is one where you could get a price if it wasn't for him. This is a stronger golden pattern, because there's 2 things going on here, I think, with Grandmo the First. One is, you can argue he's much better on dirt than turf, even though he started his career on turf and synth. Right. His best races, his 3 best races are the 3 times he's routed on turf. They're much better than his other races. And that the last time before his most recent race that he had done that was way back as a 3-year-old on the Derby, the Triple Crown Trail. So as an early 3-year-old, he was nowhere near being fully mature. Now as a 5-year-old, he's a fully mature horse. He could be much, much improved. And his comeback effort kind of signaled he might be. It was better than he had run before. Not too much better, but he probably has a better race in him. To be able to run as well as he did as a 3-year-old, if whatever physical ailments he had are behind him, this is a horse that could run much better than he ever has before. This is a really strong golden pattern, even though he's a 5-year-old. The problem is Paco jumping on, right? If he's 9 to 2 on the morning line, and that's because of the rider, he'd be 8 to 1 on the morning line if Paco wasn't riding him.
Right.
So you don't get that price, but I like the pattern a lot. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
What else?
The 8 was interesting. But again, off the layoff, the numbers at Parks and Laurel are excellent. But going from 5 to 6, he's been off a year. You don't have the same increase, the same as going 2 to 3 or 3 to 4.
Yeah, he's not going to get any better, but he never runs a bad race, right? And he's run well off a long layoff before.
Right. The question in my mind would be, how do those Parks and Laurel numbers compare to the others' numbers? Are they of equal value? The 0s and 2s and 3s is running at Parks and Laurel. How do they translate to Monmouth, or the numbers the other horses are running at other tracks, Aqueduct, Bishop's Bay? So that would be my question there. But the play for me will be the 4. In some way. Again, I don't know. here comes the math again instead of the handicapping. What do I need? What things are playing? What's being bet? And again, we don't know scratches. What's going to happen after scratches? So that would be a key for me somehow.
But Grandmo the First is another horse that you like. He's the second horse kind of on the card that will be some kind of a price that you like, and you're going to do something with him in here.
Right.
What about doubles into the next race? The next race is the last race. That's what you're saying. You're going to save $250 for that race, right? So talk about what you're going to do there.
I should have more because I should have had at least one pass through or two passes. So I'll have more to play. My numbers that I'm looking at 5, 6, 8, 10. So Golden Channel, late call, relative value.
That's 5 Golden Channel, 6 late call, 8 relative value, and 10 debt limit.
And debt limit, right. So again, a math problem. If I'm alive into it, then depending on what my payoffs are, do win bets or exacta bets using my horse on top.
Well, ideally, if you have enough money, say your pass-throughs have worked and you got most of your bankroll left, maybe even more. Is there some horse in here you'd really like to lean on as a win bet or something, if you can? Or are you?
I would say, I mean, I don't want to lean on Chad Brown again.
You got Chad and Flavian on the 10 debt limit.
Chad and Chad too. I mean, you got Chad. Them with two.
Yeah, that's the one thing about it. This card looks kind of good until you see that every race with quality horses has Chad Brown with 2 horses in it as a favorite and the second favorite. It kind of spoils.
I would say aspect. The best price, the 5, the 10-to-1 morning line. You got, that's. Yeah,
the 5's one you might get a decent price, right, on that one.
Right. You got good jockey. He should be, or at least want to be close to the lead, and a good close. So maybe be in position. But that's again, people will be pounding those doubles with Brown and Pratt. They'll be pounding those. These people at this tournament. You know who they are. They could be. A lot of people could be out of this tournament after 4 races. By the way.
Well, but unfortunately, because it looks like it could be really chalky, I don't know if anybody's going to be out. if there a bunch of people be pounding the chalk with Chad Brown and Paco and Pratt, and
$1,000 double on something that pays 4-1 gets you, gets you some money. So, and there will be people who do that.
Yeah, and there probably will be big doubles. The 6 Bishop's Bay in the previous race into the 10 debt limit, the Chad Brown horse, maybe the 8 relative value. Those are going to get pounded in the contest. So they actually they'll probably be lower than they would have been pounded anyway, but they'll be pounded even more. So probably you might want to get off of that freeway, because there's going to be bumper to bumper traffic, and maybe the 5 horse is the way to go, right? If you're trying to separate yourself, you're actually trying to win the contest, because unless you're going to go all in on a bet here, a single double or something, somebody else probably is on the 8 and the 10.
Right.
Which you could do if you wanted to, if you felt strong about that.
Right.
So is this where you're going to go all in? Is that how you're going to try to win it in this race?
Well, unless I hit something early, that earlier one, I'm all in. I'll either have a lot of money or zero. So
at the end. And right now it's something with 5, 6, 8, and 10. You may be trying some doubles into it. Now, let's say you don't have any live doubles, and you're playing this race.
I'll go big exactas.
And with those 4 horses, some combination of those probably, or something else.
Probably, or something else. Depends.
If you couldn't get it done with those, maybe you would go to a longer price underneath, kind of like you did in that.
Right, the 5 on top of someone else. Right, like I did when I won the tournament. I did 3 longest shots on the board because those are the ones that did it. So again, it's a very fluid sort of tournament. It's a great tournament. It's a great tournament.
And and it's fluid for you. Not everybody is as fluid as you are, but you're definitely. So let's kind of summarize. I'll try to summarize. You correct me.
Okay.
Your goal is to try to win it all, and you don't have much in the way of strong opinions early on in the card, so you're kind of in bankroll preservation mode. Maybe it's a show bet, but on some of those leading up to it. But the first horse that you really like in terms of potential to make a score and maybe build your bankroll was in the 7th race, the 7 horse Doing This. And that's one you're going to try to key on. And hopefully if he comes through for you and he does that for you, you'll have some bankroll. And then the other horse that you like is the 4 horse Grand Mo the First in the 9th race. And so you'll probably make some heavy plays with him, maybe with doubles into the last race, maybe with and win bets or exactas in that race. But that's the other horse you're really trying to build your bankroll. And then the last race just kind of depends on how things go. You'll have at worst case.
So it depends on how things go. Right.
Yeah. The worst case, you're going to save $250. You could have a lot
I'll
more.
have a shot in the last race.
And that $250 will probably, if you're low in your bankroll, it'll probably involve the Golden Channel in exactas on top of either some of the favorites, if you have enough money to do it that way, or real long shots if not. And if you kind of had a really good day to that point, you might be able to even just bet to win on the 5, or maybe play some exactas with the favorites, because you don't need a huge score, and you have a lot of
depending on depending on where you are and what the leaderboard looks like.
And that's just all based on your triage of the races and your goal of trying to win this contest. You're going to have to make a score in that last race. How risky that bet will be kind of depends on how much your bankroll you've been able to build or maintain getting it to that last race. And you really have 2 horses you're hoping are your bankroll builders to get there. And they're not until the last half of the card. One is the 7 horse Doing This in the 7th race, and the other is the 4 horse Grand Mo the First in the 9th race. Those are kind of the 2 horses you're hoping get you to a position where you have a reasonable chance to bet kind of consistent with your main opinion in the last race. You'll be able to kind of leverage your best opinion if you can get a score from one or both of those. If not, then you go to plan B or C and just do what it takes. The math tells you it takes to win the contest. Right.
Until my horses are scratched, then it's a whole new.
Well, we didn't talk about that. Monmouth tends to have a lot of scratches, and when they see Chad with 2 horses in some of these stakes races, we might end up with 4 horse races in some of those. Which is a good reason why you probably don't want to rely on those to build your bankroll, but they could just make an easy pass through races. But hopefully in your, in that the Grand Mo the First race, that's one where there's no Chad horses. And the Doing This race is just an AOC. So, with a decent sized field. So hopefully those will hold together, because those are really the key races for you, right? The other ones aren't that big a deal if they scratch down.
Right.
Now that last race it's a big field to start with, at least 11 horses, and but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. You know, maybe that one is one you probably don't want to have fall apart too much, because if you're trying to play catch up and it's a 6-horse field with two
Yeah,
Chads,
you want horses, right? Right.
Yeah. But
and I
if
like
you're
the fact that there are no trifectas. Yeah, I like the fact that there are no trifectas, because that puts sort of a wild card into it. Because you know those could be anything, and anybody can come in third, and so I like the fact that it's just exactas.
Yeah, and the weather forecast.
As far as exotic bet and doubles, right?
Yeah, and the weather forecast looks pretty good, so hopefully that won't impact things. All right, so anything else on that, or anything else about contest strategy or contests in general, or anything?
Can we talk about one thing? One thing I want to ask you about, okay?
Sure.
The Belmont Stakes, okay?
All right.
I was there for 2 days. Yeah, I don't know if you talked about this already, but to me it was fascinating. For 2 days, if you got the lead and you were on the rail, you won the race. No matter dirt, turf, it was souped up, okay? There was no way that horse could have won that race. The Derby winner could have won the race, because dead closer from dead last. 5 minutes before the race goes off, the skies open up and the track changes. You went from track records every race, or close records, to slow races, the slow race, and the horse comes from behind, comes from last, covered with mud, and wins the race.
And the second place
in my
horse,
opinion,
same with the second place horse, right?
Right. In my mind, if it doesn't rain, that horse does not win the race. That's just my opinion. I want to know what you thought about that. It was unbelievable that the track just changed completely 5 minutes before the race went off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but if you believe that, you'll have a chance to cash in on that.
Make some money
going forward.
Yeah,
I think
the Travers, right.
I think that was the opinion I had. The horse had no chance to win that race, given
and
the
no
way
chance
it was going to shape up. And I was wrong. He won, but I do think that there were some mitigating circumstances. And I think one of them is that hellacious downpour right as the race was starting. That certainly had some impact. You don't know how exactly, but it did definitely slow down the times.
You went from track records every race to the front runners all died. There was nothing, and this horse came from dead last again. Good for her.
We'll have to see how the other horses do. The horses that were running, some of those are just good horses. I think Englishman is a good horse.
Right.
And but you're right. And the other thing, my opinion just is, I don't think any of the horses in that race were that good. I've said that going into the race. I think they're all overrated.
Right.
I think, Commandment's a nice horse, but he's, I just think he's an above average horse. He's certainly nothing special. I think, the better horses, those horses are just kind of mediocre. Going forward, we'll see. But that's kind of was my impression going in, and nothing changed it. The good thing is that, they'll get, that Golden Tempo and Commandment will be heavy favorites wherever they go next, and they're probably the ones I'll try to beat, right? That's what's great about this game. If you form those opinions going forward, you can cash in on them.
Right.
And,
anyway.
But so I won't argue with you. To me, I don't think it changed my opinion at all coming out. It just makes it that opinion more valuable going forward, I think. But I never thought Golden Tempo was anything special, and now it's kind of had two setups in a row against the first one. I think there were some better horses, but they ended up getting compromised. I just don't think there was any really good horses in the Belmont. So we'll see.
Right.
That's fun. It'll be a fun year. All right. Thanks, Paul. Let me
Anytime.
see.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you all, the listeners out there, for supporting the show. That will wrap up episode 365 of the Sport of Kings podcast. Good luck this weekend, and please enjoy the Brooklyn Boogaloo Blowout. Cheers. That's a wrap.